from toy-based usage to off-the-shelf. So stage one is no AI. You might use ChatGPT to write a Valentine's note or ask it to explain something or summarize something, but none of that touches your actual work output that you're held accountable for. Stage two is off-the-shelf usage, where you're using those general tools as a part of your actual work output. The human still does a lot of the guidance and back and forth, the AI is advising, suggesting, and assisting. If you're only ever prompting it, you're not saving workflows, you're not saving skills, you're not creating your own agents, you're solidly in stage two. This transition from stage one to two is the easiest in the entire model, and it's also the one that most organizations have stalled on. There are three reasons people stay at stage one. First, they don't see how AI applies to their specific work. They've seen demos of writing emails or generating code, but they do accounts payable or project management or quality control. Nobody's shown them what AI looks like for their job. Second is the identity concern. If AI can help with my work, doesn't it mean that my work's not valuable? The answer is no. AI is a tool, not a replacement. If you're writing a document and you use a word processor, nobody's claiming that Word did the work for you. And at stage two, it makes you faster in the things you already do well. And then thirdly, organizations haven't created permission and empowerment. People don't want to be the first one using those tools if they're not sure if their leadership approves. At stage two, you're choosing off-the-shelf tools that already exist. There's no custom code required. These are the general AI platforms that you're likely seeing deployed from your organization. They're general purpose reasoning partners. You ask questions, get answers, iterate, good for drafting, research, brainstorming, document creation. These are going to be AI that are in your current tools. Microsoft Copilot inside Word, Excel, Outlook, etc. Google Gemini inside Workspace, GitHub Copilot inside your code editor. These embedded AI directly into the software you use, that's where stage two is going to start. It's the easiest adoption because there's nothing new to install or to learn. So if I'm in stage two, when do I use what? If your organization's running on Microsoft 365, start there. The features are in the tools you already use every day. If you're a Google Workspace shop, start with Gemini. These are the lowest friction paths because AI lives where you work already. General platforms like Claude and ChatGPT are better for kind of open-ended reasoning tasks that don't fit neatly inside a single application, like analyzing complex situations, etc. But when I'm worried about my data privacy, I'm going to want to be on a business subscription for those. Make sure that you're not going rogue and that you're doing this in alignment with your business. The guidance and IT policies in place. Now here's what stage two actually looks like in a day-to-day. You get an invoice that doesn't match the PO. At stage one, you'd be manually comparing those items. At stage two, you'd put both documents inside Copilot and ask it to highlight the discrepancies. You'd review that, AI simply making the comparison faster. If you need to write a status update for leadership, stage one, you'd spend 30 minutes drafting. Stage two, you'd give it bullet points outlines and let it draft the message. You'd edit for tone and accuracy and then hit send. If you were receiving a long document at stage one, you'd read it end to end, taking notes, highlighting. At stage two, you're going to ask AI to summarize the key requirements, flag ambiguities, and maybe identify potential gaps. The key principle is AI at stage two is a coworker and an advisor. You ask, it suggests, you decide. You're building the intuition at this stage to where AI is good and where it falls short. And that intuition is going to be essential for moving into stage three. The single most important habit to build at this is documenting and noticing where AI fails. Every time AI gives you a wrong answer, a hallucination, a misunderstanding, pay attention and document that pattern because that's going to be what you need in stage three. Does it struggle with your industry terminology? Does it miss context that may seem obvious to you? Does it give confident sounding answers that are factually wrong? The failure category is your most valuable asset for the next transition because at stage three, you're going to decide which tasks are safe and which aren't, and you're going to be giving it guidance around processes, opinions, and standards to keep it from making the mistakes you've documented in stage 2. You can only do that effectively when you've spent time learning where it makes mistakes in your domain and your workflow. If you're a leader watching this, adoption at stage 2 requires you to actively create permissions. Give people time to experiment, provide access to tools, celebrate early wins, and critically, don't penalize mistakes during this learning. The AI Accelerator Programming and Improving does exactly this. It's a 4-week departmental level engagement that evaluates every role for AI potential, identifies the tasks that AI can drive at 75% faster execution, and determines whether that speed frees capacity or creates new demand. That output gives you a clear roadmap for which roles to expand, augment, accelerate, and maintain,